The Yupiit people's traditions, culture, and rituals. One of the most intriguing cultures is that of the Yupiit, sometimes referred to as Bering Sea Eskimos. Due to their unique habitat and methods of adaptation, the Yupiit people are regarded as an Alaskan native tribe with the most diverse culture heritage. The Yupiit people are skilled and talented in many ways, but their belief systems and culture rituals are among the most fascinating aspects of their way of life. The Yupiit people have two primary concepts that guide their religious practices. First, that all living things contain a spiritual essence, and second, that this essence is recycled via birth and naming. In addition to their religious convictions, the Yupiit respected animals and held ceremonies to express their thanks for their prey they would capture. Overall, I found the Yupiit people's way of life to be fascinating and was interested in learning more about their beliefs. The Yupiit speakers, who are dispersed throughout southeast and central Alaska, make up the Yupiit people. Anthropologist Fienup-Riordan from Alaska discusses how the Yupiit is part of a much wider Inuit civilization that has influenced people all over the world. The Yupiit are well recognized for their skilled craftsmanship. They made boats, oil lamps, clothes from animal skin, harpoons, and clothing. They were also noted for being skilled hunters, and the more Contentno clans would hunt caribou and moose. They would hunt large sea animals near the shore of the Chukchi and Bering Seas. However, the most crucial skill the Yupiit developed was surviving in Alaska's harsh environment, since despite the abundance of natural resources, they had no control over the weather. Throughout the year, the Yupiit people relied on the powers in the fields of hunting and craftsmanship, as well as their connection to spirits. The Yupiit people held the view that if they adhered to social norms, the spirits would protect them throughout the year. Pictured in the middle is two boats that they made, and to either side is them hunting. Native Yupiit people date back 9,000 years. Typically, Yupiit groups ranged in size from 100 to 600 members, depending on their geographic location and the available resources. The Yupiit built a variety of homes, but the most typical one in the center of the tribe was a partial dugout, a rectangular building that measured roughly 10 by 12 feet. And if there was an abundance of wood, plant walls and floors would be added. Most included an Arctic entryway tunnel that kept the cold below the dwelling. They would stay warm in these homes during the chilly winters of Alaska. The Gaskig, which is the largest building built by the Yupiit natives, served as a venue for festivals as well as many community needs. They were skilled hunters, so whatever they could get their hands on was what they ate. Large sea creatures like walrus, bowhead whales, bearded seals, and salmon were typically their main source of food if they lived close to the ocean. Fish, whales, caribou, moose, and even ground squirrels would be eaten by more mainland tribes. Pictures of them hunting are below. The Yupiit practiced shamanism and held that both good and bad spirits existed. The latter was said to be blamed for many calamities, most notably disease. Numerous animals and birds were and still are revered and protected as sacred creatures. Rituals also included dramatic performances and dances, which were typically connected to guaranteeing hunting success and expressing gratitude for past hunts. In general, women had a significant role in religious traditions. Although the Yupiit culture is remarkable in many ways, their spiritual rites and belief system are distinctive. The Yupiit natives were deeply religious people who trusted spirits to guide their hunting and keep an eye on them. The major spirit in Yupiit culture is called Elam Yua, which is the spirit of the universe. Elam Yua was seen as constantly keeping an eye on all living things, including people and animals, as compared to God by Yupiit natives. They thought that this God gave each human and animal a spirit and would take care of their needs for food and water. All living things were to be respected. Even though the Yupiit would hunt animals, proper respect was still to be shown to them. So it was important to make sure that the seals were brought into the village with water poured into their mouths as a sign of respect for taking them out of the ocean, and fish were also always brought into the house in a pan to prevent dropping. A set of social laws have been used by the Yupiit people to rule over. They consider the relationship between the animal and human worlds to be quite strong. They think Alamua facilitates communication between the two realms, and the Yupiit adheres to a set of regulations to ensure respect between all parties. When an animal was collected for food, there were specific laws that had to be followed. Depending on how seriously those rules had been broken, the species might become restricted or perhaps go extinct. The Yupiit people thought that if the rules were followed, the food source would increase and the quantity of game would increase as well. Following these guidelines and exhibiting respect were important components in maintaining a healthy relationship between the animal and human worlds. Hunters needed to exercise caution when handling their weapons after they had captured an animal, caring for it after it had died, and eating it to avoid upsetting their spirits. Their fundamental conviction was that the Yupiit people would be taken care of, provided they maintained a positive relationship with the animal kingdom, and that was how they managed to survive. The Bladder Festival is one of the largest events in which the Yupiit took part of. To appease the ghosts of the animals that had been hunted the previous years, the village held a Bladder Festival in December. The Yupiit believed that amusing them on this occasion would please them, so they would sing, dance, feast, and respect the souls of those creatures. The Yupiit collected the bladders of all the animals slain throughout the year, inflated them, decorated them, and hung them, because they believed that the souls or spirits of animals dwelt in the bladder. Rituals were carried out over the course of the following 6 to 7 days to return the bladders to the sea. To purify the community, these ceremonies included an ice hole and a fire ceremony. Even the Bladder Festival was governed by law according to the Yupiit. For instance, when bladders were hung, people had to be there at all times, and a light had to be blazing at all times to avoid disturbing a spirit. According to the belief, these spirits would be recycled, and if they were content with the Yupiit people, they would return to the people the following year. The Messenger Festival was another event which reduces hostilities with other villages. Precious items would be presented to demonstrate to animal spirits that they were kind and deserving of their generosity while hunting, as well as to preserve traditions for future generations and maintain community harmony. All of the Yupiit beliefs were based on maintaining harmony between the animal and human worlds, particularly in the past when animals served as the primary source of food. There is more to the Bladder Festival and Messenger Festival than just a party. Those celebrations were thought to appease the spirits, who would then look after their towns. Additionally, by teaching the younger generations about their beliefs and traditions, these celebrations helped carry those traditions on. While the Yupiits thought that their festivals in the way of life caused their successful hunts, the same customs also taught younger hunters patience. The Yupiit communities may have endured in the past due to their patience and reverence. They learned to never give up thanks to these ideas, which may have ultimately contributed to their success. With the advent of modern technologies and grocery stores, the Yupiit culture is slowly vanishing today. Even though they may still engage in hunting and gathering, communities change from being dependent on drugs to focusing on wage-based employment and developing into more modern towns. Some of the Yupiit elders feel as though they inhabited an alien society where English is the language of choice rather than even their native tongue. The Western culture has influenced the belief system, and while the Yupiits still adhere to many fundamental principles, it is no longer a matter of life or death. Communities want to pass on traditional values to the next generations, but many worry that they may lose their culture as the world changes so quickly. The Yupiit value the relationship between the animal and human worlds, which accounts for a sizable element of their belief system. As long as they adhere to the laws of life, they think that the Alamuna, their god, will defend them. They hold the view that all living things have a spiritual aspect and they must treat them with care to preserve this treasure. The Yupiit people believe that by treating their animals with respect, they will return for the following season. Although we cannot demonstrate that the alam yuna is genuine or that their offerings to the spirits in reverse pleases them, guaranteeing a good hunt, we can state that these beliefs have taught the Yupiits the value of perseverance, hard effort, and patience. As a result, they were able to persevere under trying circumstances through willpower as well as community.